ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhascha Krupa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So now we will continue with the chapter 5, and here is where we have to start. So we are continuing from last time, where we read how there was a lot of unrest in India at that time because Japan was constantly attacking England, and since the Britishers were ruling in India, so they had a lot of colonies established in India, and that's the reason why Japanese were bombing India as well. And Britishers were wanting the Indian civilians to take part in this war, but Indians were not ready. So what did they do is they brought artificial famine and just kept all the grains with them, and rather they fed the grains to other countries' soldiers where they were helping, but they didn't give it to Indian civilians, and the prices were really very high beyond their affordability. So forcefully they had to, participate in the war, but few who could afford, they just had it. So now Prabhupada was already thinking to, start preaching on a high scale, and this is where he found that this is very appropriate time that I should start writing, because he was contemplative that should I be doing that when my godbrothers are here and they are senior to me. But then his godbrothers also wanted him to write because of his scholarly disposition. That's why, with their encouragement and Prabhupada's own inner inspiration from Kṛṣṇa, he started writing and gave the name to the magazine as Back to Godhead, because this was the time when people really needed this philosophy the most. So now there was a description also that how Prabhupada himself actually thought about this graphics, that what will come as a header of Back to Godhead magazine, where Lord Chaitanya will be on one side, like on the left side, and doing Sankirtan with all his associates, and here on the middle side many people are will raise their hands reaching out to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and on the extreme right there was a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, because he was his Guru Maharaj, so he wanted to have his picture as well. So that's where we had stopped, and now we are reading forward. Next, he told how he had come to begin Back to Godhead magazine, how he had written a letter 2 weeks before the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and how his spiritual master had instructed him to preach in English. Under the circumstances, since 1936 up to now, I was simply speculating whether I shall venture this difficult task, and that without any means and capacity. But as none have discouraged me, I have now taken courage to take up the work. But at the present moment, my conscience is dictating me to take up the work, although the difficulties are not over for the present situation arising out of war conditions. Abhay stated that his paper would contain only the transcendental messages of the great sages of India, especially Lord Chaitanya, and that his duty would be simply to repeat them, just like a translator. He would not manufacture anything, and so his words would descend as transcendental sound for guiding people back to Godhead. He admitted that the subject matters of back to Godhead, being from a totally different sphere of consciousness, might seem dry to his readers, but he held that anyone who actually gave attention to his messages would benefit. So we can see the purity of messages of Srila Prabhupada, that he did not want to change anything. He just was, passing on the message as it is. So it was a transcendental message. It was coming from the Lord himself, right? So that's why this like Bhagavad-gītā as it is, and all these articles of Back to Godhead written by Prabhupada, the Srimad Bhagavatam purpose, all these and all small books of Srila Prabhupada, like Easy Journey to Other Planets, and Science of Reincarnation, Journey of Self-Discovery, so all these Science of Self-Realization, all these books are having a very, very pure message of Srila Prabhupada, which is coming directly from Kṛṣṇa, Lord Chaitanya himself. So therefore, we should read these books of Srila Prabhupada every day without fail. Sugar candy is never sweet to those who are suffering from the disease of bile. Bile means who has jaundice. But still, sugar candy is the medicine for bilious patients. So it feels very bitter when we are in the state of jaundice, but still that is the remedy also. The taste of sugar candy will gradually be revived if the bilious patient goes on taking sugar candy regularly for the cure of the disease. We recommend the same process to the readers of Back to Godhead. Abhay focused on presenting the timeless message of the Vedas, but in the context of current crisis. In his Easy Godhead and His Potentiality, in his essay, Godhead and His Potentialities, he presented Vedic evidence and logical arguments to explain the transcendental nature of Godhead and the individual souls, both being deathless, blissful, and full of knowledge. Because men have forgotten and neglected their vital connection with God, they can never be satisfied in the material world, which is temporary and beset with unavoidable miseries. As spiritual souls, everyone is eternal by nature, and therefore everyone tries to avoid the onslaught of distress and dangers which come one after another. But the material body is meant for suffering and ultimately for destruction. So the meaning is that the soul, we are actually spiritual beings, but this material world is like a constricted place. We being spiritual, we are unlimited, right? We are eternal, we are full of knowledge and bliss, but we don't feel all those things because we are also trapped into constriction of this material world. And the nature of material world is to get destroyed again and again. So, but our nature is eternal, so we don't get destroyed, but we are trapped in such an environment which is temporary. So nothing feels good because there is always a fear that this will end. This fun will also end. This life will end. What if I get separated from my dear ones? All these anxieties keep continuing in the minds of people, right? That's why this material world does not seem like a place to, which will give us continuous happiness. So that is the nature of this material world. It is miserable and temporary. We can see from our own situation or from the situation of others that there are always complaints. Some or the other thing is bothering us. So that's the nature of this material world. But that is not our actual nature. Our actual nature is Ananda. Means we are eternally blissful entities, right? Because we are part and parcels of the most blissful personality, Sri Kṛṣṇa, right? And therefore, but because of our desires, we have come here. But it feels very, very constricted. The exodus of residents of Calcutta to other places out of fear of being raided by the Japanese bombs is due to the same tendency of non-destructible existence. So all kinds of fear are existing because we are actually undestructible, but this place has a lot of destructions. So since we are also identifying with this place, we also get fearful that, oh, I will get destroyed or this bomb will attack me, something like that. But those who are thus going away do not remember that even after going away from Calcutta, saved from the raids of Japanese bombs, they are unable to protect their bodies as non-destructible in any part of material universe. When the same bodies will be raided by bombs of material nature in the form of threefold miseries. The Japanese also, who are threatening the Calcutta people with ruthless air raids for increasing their own happiness by possession of lands, do not know that their happiness is also temporary and destructible, as they have repeatedly experienced in their own fatherland. The living beings, on the other hand, who are designed to be killed, are by nature eternal, impenetrable, invisible, etc. So all those living entities who are threatened to be killed, as well as those who are threatening to conquer, are alike in the grip of my apotency and therefore in the darkness. So uh, if we talk about the perpetrator or the person who is getting perpetrated, both are in illusion. One is thinking to control the other person, and the other person is fearing out of being controlled. But both are in illusion of Maya or darkness because they don't have knowledge about their own eternity. So that's why this philosophy of Krishna consciousness is very, very important in this world. And though very rarely people will take interest and very rarely people will try to understand, but those who will try sincerely, they will, really, really cross over the miseries of this material world, because mentally they will be so peacefully situated in service to Krishna that anything comes, they will consider it as Krishna's mercy and they will remain very happy in any situation. So that's the gift that Srila Prabhupada has come to give us. Abhay wrote that never by their own devices could men escape the conditions of destruction. So many world leaders were seeking relief from the war, but all were useless because their attempts for peace were within the material conception of life. Their attempts were like attempts to alleviate darkness with darkness. But darkness can be removed only by light. So what they are doing, because of their ignorance, they are trying to patch up, bringing some temporary solutions to these problems of the material world. But darkness cannot be removed by another darkness, another form of darkness. But darkness can be removed only by light, when that is the light of knowledge. Without light, any amount of speculation of the human mind, which is also a creation of material nature, can never restore the living entity to permanent happiness. In that darkness, any method of bringing peace in the world can bring only temporary relief or distress. As we can see from all creations of external potency, in the darkness, non-violence is as much useless as violence, while in the light, there is no need of violence or non-violence. So very true that people might, preach about non-violence, but after all, death is going to come, right? This way or that way. Definitely, I'm not saying that violence is good. We should preach non-violence because we are not on a pure devotional platform. But what Prabhupada is saying from a pure devotee level point of view is very true, that where there is light of knowledge, where you know actually who you are and who Krishna is, then there is no need of either violence or non-violence. You can always be very happy in service to Krishna. Abhay did not deal exclusively with the war. In the Theosophy Ends in Vaishnavism, he criticized, this was an article probably, he criticized the shortcomings of fashionable ideas of theosophy, which the followers of Madame Blavatsky had popularized in India. So, yeah, so many people came from different places in the world and they tried to influence India. But this is Krishna's mercy and Krishna's grace that India is still as it is, and Vedic. Still, many people follow Vedic principles in India. There are many Brahmanas who are sincere, and now ISKCON doing so much good work in India that they are preaching continuously and distributing books and distributing this knowledge by mercy of Srila Prabhupada. In congregational chanting, he upheld the scriptural prediction that Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya would spread to every town and village on the surface of the earth. From this foretelling, we can hope that the cult of Sankirtan will take very shortly a universal form of religious movement, and this universal religion, wherein there is no harm in chanting the name of the Lord, nor is there any question of quarrel, will continue for years, as we can know from the pages of authoritative scriptures. So, chanting of holy name is the very easy and quick solution to all these problems. You don't have to cultivate too much knowledge. You don't have to make plans for violence, non-violence, nothing. Just doing sankirtan together, coming with devotees and just chanting the holy names of the Lord. It is so peaceful. So now we see that many major cities or states in America and also throughout the world, there are street sankirtans. A lot of street sankirtans are going on. So, like Prabhupada was seeing this, that it will shortly become a universal thing. So that is, we are seeing now being manifested. The central theme of Back to Godhead was clearly the order of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. In its cover, with its picture of thoughtful Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, in its dedication, in its statement of magazine's purpose, in its handling of issues, its analysis of theosophy, its prediction of the spread of Sankirtan, in its every aspect, the name of Back to Godhead was the order of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So we can also see the dedication of Srila Prabhupada to his Guru Maharaj. With every effort, he was remembering his Guru, and that's how he kept the picture of his Guru on Back to Godhead magazine, because he was getting inspiration from all these great qualities of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, how he was sincere in every aspect. There were also 4 shorter essays by other contributors, including Bhakti Saranga Goswami. An advancement on back cover highlighted an advertisement on the back cover highlighted Gītopanishad by Abhay Charan Day. So I think they are talking about the introduction of Bhagavad-gītā here now. In 3 parts, 1200 pages, royal size, first class Morocco binding. An elaborate exposition of the world-famous Hindu philosophy, the Bhagavad-gītā, in its true scientific theistic interpretations by the chain of disciplic succession from Sri Kṛṣṇa, Brahma, Narada, Vyas, Madhva, Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar, Lord Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Krishna Das, Narottam, Vishwanath, Valadev, Jagannath Thakur, Bhakti Vinod, Gaur Kishore, Thakur Siddhanta Saraswati, down to the author, with numerous illustrations in colors and plain from many authentic scriptures. To be published shortly, customers booked in advance, price India rupees 18, foreign euro 1, 10 cents or something. As a second measure, means very, very cheap price, very, very little price. As a second major work, Lord Chaitanya in 2 parts, totaling 1000 pages. Neither of these manuscripts were actually near completion, but Abhay was expressing his eagerness to undertake such large works on behalf of his spiritual master. In attempting to print the second issue of Back to Godhead, Abhay encountered the same difficulty as before. Twice he requested permission to purchase newsprint, and twice the government denied his request. Paper was restricted on account of the war. On July 10, 1944, Abhay wrote a third letter. With due respect, I beg to submit that under the instruction of His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, the spiritual head of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, I had to start a paper under the caption Back to Godhead. The very name will suggest the intention of starting such a paper in the midst of heavy turmoil through which the world is now passing. A copy of the same booklet is sent herewith for your kind perusal. In that booklet, you shall find strong world opinions, even by many reputed politicians all over the world, in favor of such a movement to bring back the world into sanity by training the mind and educating human nature for unshaking spiritual plane considered to be the supreme need of humankind. I hope you will kindly go through the paper by making some time, and I may draw your attention specifically to the introductory portion. Abhay also means we can see how much confidence Srila Prabhupada had. And this comes by the mercy of Guru. So he was able to write to the big political authorities, and he was writing, like we can see the conviction in his writing, how much convinced he himself was, and so how much confident he was, that he was saying that I may draw your attention especially to introduction portion. So he was very confident about the matter that he was writing. And why was he confident? Because he told earlier that I was just repeating what Lord Chaitanya has said. So he was not adulterating the message. That's why he was very, very confident. Abhay also remarked that the editorial board of Back to Godhead felt that there was not so much a scarcity of paper as a scarcity of education. Taking the opportunity to preach, Abhay explained that although the ultimate supplier was the personality of Godhead, godless men consider themselves the proprietors of all things. Catastrophe that is now in vogue in the present war of supremacy is guided by this false sense of proprietorship, and therefore there is need of making propaganda amongst all human beings in order to bring them back to the sense of ultimate proprietorship of Godhead. Abhay considered that there might indeed be a paper shortage in India, but in ancient times, he wrote, enlightened Indians had regularly sacrificed tons of valuable ghee and grains in the fire during religious sacrifices, and in those times there had not been any scarcity. People now, however, having abandoned all sacrifices to the Supreme Lord, were producing only scarcity. So we can see in India as well as all over the world, people are only interested in enjoying for themselves whatever they get. So they are not offering any kind of yajnas, sacrifices, anything. And that's why there is so much anxiety, unrest in the world, and so much scarcity. So people are not happy, and many are struggling with diseases. Different kinds of problems are happening. But if we can perform only Sankirtan Yajna, like chanting the holy names of the Lord, then it will be the best Yajna we can offer in this Kali Yuga. So therefore, by doing only this much, which is the highest actually principle, all these scarcities can be easily removed. Can we not therefore sacrifice a few reams of paper in midst of many vestiges for the same purpose in order to derive greater benefit for the humankind? I request that government should take up this particular case in the light of spiritualism, which is not within the material calculation. Even in Great Britain, the government has immensely supported a similar movement called moral rearmament movement without consideration of the scarcity of paper, which is more acute there than here. Let there be a page only, if not more, for the publication of Back to Godhead. So it's just asking for one page, for which we do not mind, but my earnest request is that government should at least let there be a ventilation of atmosphere, for which my paper Back to Godhead is meant. Kindly therefore give it a serious consideration and allow me to start even by one page every weekly or monthly as you think best, without thinking it as ordinary waste of paper, for the sake of humanity and Godhead. Oh Kṛṣṇa, wow. So much humility Prabhupada had. I mean, he was He was not retaliating or anything. He was stating the facts. He was actually approaching a proper authority, and he was working toward a very, very higher cause than what the authority was involved in. But still, he approached in a proper manner, very politely, and he was stating all the facts, and how much he was, urging them. It's so wonderful to hear the life of Srila Prabhupada. The letter was successful. Now, with veiled sarcasm, he headlined his second issue. Thanks to the government of India. He informed his readers, many of whom had been disappointed to learn that government had curtailed his printing, that he would be able to continue his magazine every month. Abhay printed his letter to the government paper officer and also the reply granting him permission. So now we can see that he is happy with whatever they are giving. At least some papers they are giving. So with that only he is trying to preach. So that is also worth learning. And there were some eager readers also who were waiting for his paper. So we should always try to preach. Whoever is ready, he will take. And whoever wants to choose not to, participate in all these things, it's their own journey. It is between them and Kṛṣṇa also. So, but there are many eager people waiting for such mercy. So they were very disappointed when Abhay was not given the paper. But now they were very happy. His articles were shorter, this time displaying the flair of news columnist, as with philosophical criticism, verve, and a touch of ironic humor. He commented on world leaders and crises. Gandhi Jinnah talks. So, yeah, Jinnah was, I think he was president of Pakistan or something at that time. So he was talking with the Mahatma Gandhi Gandhiji, about, there was a plan to divide India into two parts. So regarding that, probably Mr. Churchill's human world, Mr. Bernard Shaw's wishful desire, and spontaneous love of Godhead. So all these were articles comprise the issue. Gandhi Jinnah talks. We are sorry to learn that Gandhi Jinnah talks about unity of Indian people have failed for the present. Abhay was not very optimistic about the result of such occasional talks between several heads of communities. Even if they made a successful solution, it would break up and take the shape of another problem. They were looking for unity between Muslims and Hindus, but in Europe, the fighting parties were Christians, and in Asia, they were mostly Buddhists, but still they were fighting. So fighting will go on between Hindu and Mohammedan, between Hindus and Hindus, or between Mohammedan and Mohammedan, between Christian and Christian, between Buddhist and Buddhist, till the day of annihilation. As long as there was the contaminated self-interest of sense gratification, there would be fighting between brother and brother, father and son, and nation and nation. Real unity would stand only on a plane of transcendental service to the Supreme. Mahatma Gandhi, Abhay wrote, is Mahatma Gandhi is far above ordinary human being, and we have all respect for him. But Abhay advised Gandhi to give up his activities on the material plane and rise to the transcendental plane of the spirit. Then there could be talks about unity of all people. Abhay cited Bhagavad-gītā's definition of Mahatma, one who concentrates his attention on the service of Supreme Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa. He requested Mahatma Gandhi to adhere to teachings of Bhagavad-gītā and preach its message of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Kṛṣṇa. In this way, Mahatma Gandhi, through his influential position in the world, could bring about universal relief simply by preaching the message of Bhagavad-gītā. So we will stop here and we will read from here next time. Mr. Churchill's human world. So I'll just quickly take a picture. Okay.